All right, welcome back. We got it to Friday, so we are 7 days in. Sorry, I was messing with my computer real quick. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go through the questions that we did with our logical reasoning. I think you guys did a good job on it. I just want to give you some examples. So I'm going to go through these 10 questions. I'm going to read some student responses and kind of, give a little feedback on the fly because these are some questions and some answers that I think can better help us, in the long run. So let's go ahead and look at it and we'll see what we think. So number one, is it more important to be respected or liked? So the first student response that I took is, personally, I would say both, but I feel being respected is more important. Just being liked is different from being fully respected. I would like to think of this question as if I'm the boss of a company. If I'm only liked and not respected, I feel as if my employees wouldn't take things I say as seriously, or would slack off a bit thinking I'd be cool with it when really I most likely am not. However, I feel that if I was a respected boss, my employees would take my orders seriously and wouldn't slack. Being both respected and liked in this company point of view, I feel like it would be a good atmosphere for happy employees. I think this is a very good response right here. It answers the question fully, and it weighs both of the options. Which one is better? Which one is more important? So good answer right there. Very good answer right there. Number two, let's look at, another popular question. Does money buy happiness? So this student responded, I don't believe money itself can buy happiness, but I do believe with money you can buy things that make you happy. There's so much to explore and experience in this world. Not taking advantage of that is what makes people sad and weak. So, does money buy happiness? This student believed no, but that it can buy things that do make you happy, not that it does so intrinsically. Very good response. Very good response. Look at number three, intelligence or wisdom? What's more important for a better world? This student said, I would say wisdom. You can be intelligent but not wise. Being wise and having experience and knowledge is more important. Being wise and having experience is more important for a better world than just being intelligent. There we go. So this kind of brings up a question. So if you were a employer, if you're hiring people to do a job, whatever it is, would you rather have someone that is more educated or more experienced? That kind of breaks it down a little bit between knowledge and experience. When we think of the term wisdom, we don't think of like young people. We think typically of people that are older because they have more experience. So, again, this student took a very declarative stance, saying that wisdom is more important for a better world. So, does that mean that we should listen more to people older than us because they have experience? It's a good question. Number four, do we change when we have power? This is the student response that I took. This question is subjective due to the individuality of us as people. I would say this is dependent on one's core values and beliefs. Some who place value on personal gain will inevitably change when power is bestowed upon them, whereas others who place value upon personal growth and positive change will see power as either another obstacle or tool depending on their personality. And this is a very good answer because it takes into account that people are going to do different things based on their worldview and their outlook of life. So do people change when they have power? Yes and no. Some people do and some people don't, but it doesn't have to. I think that's kind of what this student was getting at. Good response, good response. Number five, will stricter laws make a better world? Student response, no. Stricter laws will not make the world a better place. Stricter laws make people want to rebel and do their own things, where when there aren't as strict laws, it allows you to make your own decisions and mistakes and learn from them. This is something that we are seeing in the world today. Laws are a complicated system. Let's take that first. Laws are complicated. It's not just simple as cut and dry. We look at cut and dry law systems, and they don't allow for like flexibility or interpretation. Like if you go back and look at Hammurabi's code, if you steal something, you have your hand chopped off. Well, okay, well, is every theft exactly the same? Personally, I would say no. Motive is a large part of that, but get that aside. Do stricter laws make the world a better place? The student said no, but is there a point to which laws, the question I would have is there a point to which the laws are too lenient and they need to become more strict? And how do we find that right balance? And what happens if, again, laws are too lenient? Will people, simply abandon laws altogether? And then how do you enforce those laws? It's a good question. And this is something that's we see in the world today. And so it's something that we have to, again, kind of stay cognizant of. And again, ask questions, because that's the only way we learn. All right, number 6, can we understand good without evil? Again, the key word right here, I believe, is understand. So let's look at the student response. I believe we wouldn't understand good without evil. If there was no evil and everyone were good, everyone would be the same. I think this is an important part right there. We'll come back to it. Because evil makes us learn and grow as people, and without it, we would never change. If everyone is the same, then we won't have any two conflicting forces. That is what I think what this student is getting at, is that kind of does bring the best out of us. Essentially competition, and a competition between good and evil. We characterize things as that. You see it in movies like Lord of the Rings. It's a conflict between good and evil. You see it in Harry Potter series. You see it in a lot of fiction writing, especially because it's cut and dry. But in people, is there are we one or the other? Can we be only good? Can we be only evil? Or are we all kind of a mix between? I do think the student does a good job of really hashing on that understanding point, especially by their last sentence, because evil makes us grow. You can look at evil as just being the opposite of good. So something that is ungood, not good. So whether behavior or action, when you don't live up to the idea or the ideal in which you have of good, and you do something that you know is not good, something that is ungood, something that is not good, which again we can also describe as evil depending on the circumstance. As this student is saying, that is what makes you reflect and think about it, and what makes you change. So very good answer. Number 7, is there such a thing as truth? Is truth objective? Which means if truth is objective, it's true for everybody. Or is truth subjective, which means that truth can, you can have your own truth. This is the student response. No, there is no such thing as truth. Truth is just an illusion. One thing that is true for one may not be for another. This is one of the most, I think, just from all the research I've done in terms of philosophy and history, this is probably the question that divides people the most, because essentially these are what all these different religions have been based on, is revealing truth. And the postmodernist way of thinking, which really arose kind of in the 20th century, is that, again, there was no such thing as objective truth. That all of our truth is subjective. It does raise questions. Like the question I would have here is there such a thing as truth? The response was no, truth is an illusion. In stating that, are you stating a truth? So if truth is an illusion, is that a truth in of itself? And would that make it objective? Those are just some of the questions that we see with this topic, and this is essentially the main theme of our class. I believe is truth objective or subjective, and how do we discover truth? Because this student does say that truth is an illusion, but it does not discount that truth exists, because something can be an illusion yet still exist. Like, we're going to come back to that. We're going to come back to that because maybe it can. Maybe if something is an illusion, that means it does not exist. But if you have a thought in your mind and you act out upon it, even if that idea wasn't true, your actions are true. So there's just a lot to kind of dissect there. All right, let's go ahead and look at number 8. Can a person be happy if they have never experienced sadness? So the response here: sadness is a thing that every person must go through in life, some more than others. I believe you can be happy and achieve happiness after sadness, but you can steal more in the sadness you've experienced and learn from it and grow. Sadness is a perspective. Such one thing can be sad to one person and could be fine for another. So before you judge someone for their sadness, try to understand it first. I think that's a pretty good response. Now, I think it does allow the opportunity for one to grow, which seems to be kind of the point of life, is to grow. It does bring up some more questions. Can a person be happy if they've never experienced sadness? Again, the student said that sadness is something that everyone must go through. Well, then why do we try so hard to make sure that we eliminate sadness? And why do we call that happiness just because we're not sad? Can a person simply be happy because they are not sad? I think that's a question that we'd have to kind of go in further to really, understand, whether happiness and sadness essentially coexist. Very good. Number 9, is it better to have loved and lost or never to have loved at all? This student responded, it's better to love and have lost. I'm a firm believer in what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. All you can do with your past is learn from it so it doesn't happen again. And on top of that, a human needs pain. We need pain just so we can realize how good the good times are. This kind of goes back to that whole sadness question from right before. To have loved and lost means to be happy and sad, and again, that relationship does coexist in some point. I can tell you just from being married, like there's times where I am the most happiest I've ever been, but with that potential to be really, really happy comes that potential to be really, really sad, because if something was, to happen to my wife or, just different circumstances, I have more to gain, but also have more to lose. And I would imagine that is the same, having children. I don't have children, but I can understand the premise. Your ability to have a higher potential of happiness is there because now you have created something and you can watch it grow. And so, you guys understand how parents love a child, but in that there comes more worry. What happens if, what are you going to do if something happens to that child? That child becomes both the source of ultimate happiness, but also the source of, ultimate, unhappiness and sadness, especially if that child was, to die in youth. That is what we call tragedy. So that's a good question. That's a good question and a good response. All right, number 10, last one. If you won the lottery, would you quit your job? Why or why not? Student response: if I won the lottery, then I would not quit my job. The reason I wouldn't quit my job is because I feel like I would get bored, but I probably wouldn't be a full-time worker. It would definitely be part-time. And you could also switch your job to something that you've always wanted to do, but that job doesn't make a lot of money. I really do like this response because I believe this is something that I would do. If I won the lottery, I don't think I'd quit teaching. I think it would make me want to continue teaching even more, because then I wouldn't have to worry about the financial part of it, the monetary aspect of it. But that brings up another question. Why do people want to work? I think just by talking to some of you, this whole 6-month period where we hadn't had school, a lot of you are excited to have something to do again, to have some responsibility, and I think that's a beautiful thing. but it does, bring up the question: why do we want to work, especially when we don't have to? Good question. Good responses. I like this a lot. Keep up the good work, and we're going to hit the ground running on Monday. See you guys later.